What's going on, guys? My name is Justin Godsey for Justin Godsey TV, and welcome to the final UFC on Fox 12 match recap or bout recap. I kept on saying matches. I'm trying to, put it back to matches. It's not professional wrestling here, but it was a final bout recap at UFC on Fox 12, and we're going to be talking about the main event: Robbie Lawler versus Matt Brown. Now, overall, this was a very exciting fight. The fight card in general was just off the page tonight, and I was, in it till the end. I was watching, the prelims on UFC Fight Pass all the way up to the prelims on UFC or on Fox, and then you also have the main card on Fox. But this event pulled me in. But this main event was hands down fight of the night. I predicted that this is going to be a fight that goes to the end. I think both of these competitors, you rarely see any of these competitors get knocked out. When was the last time you guys saw Robbie Lawler get knocked out? When was the last time you even saw Matt Brown lose a fight? When you really look at it, you gotta look down it as probably one of the most exciting welterweight fights of the year. You can give look-ats of Johnny Hendricks versus Robbie Lawler at UFC 171 back in March. You can look at that as probably one of the best welterweight fights of the year. But this is going to be up there because it really tested both of these competitors, stamina, their power, and his overall just ability to go the entire 5 rounds against each other. Two heavy hitters in the UFC welterweight division, and it all ended out, going, through 5 rounds. I never expected this to be, the bout that's going to end in a knockout. Joe Rogan and a bunch of other people on Twitter are all saying that this is going to be a fight where, one of them's going to get knocked out. It's going to be a fight where we're not going to see, the ending because of their knockout power. I could have seen it, but, in my gut feeling, I did not really feel that, this was going to be a fight that would go, to a knockout or a submission, because this was a fight that both competitors stood up. You rarely saw them take the fight to the ground because these guys are strikers. These guys are going to stand. They're going to stand and bang for the entire time. And every so often you would see this. The fight be taken to the ground, but only for a short period of time, because these guys' stand-ups are just fantastic. This was a fight that will be remembered for a while. I'm not saying it's going to end up being fight of the year. There are other candidates so far, but this is up there. I would really love to go back and see this fight, more often, because both Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler left it all in the octagon tonight. A lot of people are saying, this should have been, a split decision. I like Robbie Lawler tonight. He took the less damage. Matt Brown, he started gassing out, somewhat in the 3rd round. The first 2 rounds, he was just, getting ready. He was getting ready for the deeper rounds. The 3rd round, right in the middle of the fight, you saw, a big, slowed down in the pace of Matt Brown. It was much slower in the beginning portions of the fight, and then he's just started gassing out, and it's very exhausting to fight for 5 rounds, including against a competitor like Robbie Lawler, who's already inked himself in as the #1 contender against Johnny Hendricks, as he won tonight against Matt Brown. And it's just very hard indeed for both competitors to go out there and, fight the entire 5 rounds. With the knockout power that they both have, it just did not end in a knockout, did not end in a submission or anything like that. These were 2 guys that left it all in the octagon and kept us entertained till, the end of the night, until the end of the fight. And it was just overall an excellent way to end this, as Robbie Lawler defeated Matt Brown via unanimous decision, which ended in just, a respectable fashion. Robbie Lawler improves his record to 24-10-1. Matt Brown's winning streak, it's cut short. He is now 19-12 on his career. We all know, going forward for Robbie Lawler, it is that title fight against Johnny Hendricks somewhere down the line. I have no idea where the UFC wants to put together a title fight. There was a rumor that there's going to be a title fight in Brazil. That was, leaked today during a press conference, or the post-fight press conference. But there's still going to be a title fight, but it just does not know which title fight will take place. I can rather see it being the Mendes-Aldo fight card, possibly, around October time. That could be a fight card in Brazil for the title. Just reschedule that fight back in October, and we can end up seeing, a fight in Vegas between Lawler and Johnny Hendricks. But we all know what's going forward for Robbie Lawler. But, with this loss, what does this mean for the #5 ranked welterweight in the UFC in Matt Brown? It's a big, step. It's a big step back here. There's a lot of great candidates that you could fight at the welterweight division. There are a couple of guys that are really, piquing my interest. Matt Brown is probably for sure is going to be linked to be moved down in the rankings. So he's ranked at number 5. He lost to number 1, and you know what? It's not going to be a big drastic fall, but you know what? He's going to end up fighting someone outside the top 5. I don't expect him to end up fighting, you know, the back end of the rankings. I don't think he's going to end up fighting a newcomer in the UFC. I think Matt Brown is going to stay local within the top 10. He's going to end up facing a guy maybe like a Jake Ellenberger, maybe Safadine, Dong Young Kim could be a possibility. I think Dong Young Kim is actually scheduled to have a fight. Maybe even, you know, Hector Lombard or Tyron Woodley. But you know what? You know, if you're faced off against Tyron Woodley, I think that'll be just a gift over to him because he's in the top 4. But you know what? Matt Brown, with this loss to Robbie Lawler, will have a step back in his rankings. Maybe move down to number 6. I don't see this being as big as a dramatic loss in his rankings, in his stability in the rankings. But you know what? There's going to end up being, you know, a fight for Matt Brown. You know, and within the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to end up, you know, hearing his name, you know, in fight discussions, possibly against, you know, Damian Maia, Jake Ellenberger, or possibly even a Hector Lombard. So you know, those are all some, you know, some possibles for Matt Brown going forward. Robbie Lawler, you know, is going to be getting that title fight against Johnny Hendricks. But at the end of the day, Robbie Lawler is the champion. The fight did go down as being fight of the night, much deserved. And you know, it's guaranteed that once that, you know, that final buzzer went down, we all knew that this was fight of the night. So let me hear your guys' opinion about UFC on Fox. UFC on Fox 12. This was overall a fantastic event. I would love to hear from you guys. I'm Justin Godsey for Justin Godsey TV. I'll catch you guys in my next video.